Welcome back to Jersey Matters. So how do the people of New Jersey think that Phil Murphy's doing during this pandemic? And what do they think about voting by mail in the next election? That's just a couple of the questions asked in a poll taken at Rutgers University. Here's my interview with Ashley Koning, director of the Eagleton Public Interest Polling Center at Rutgers. Ashley, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. Your poll that you did on the coronavirus and the pandemic was a couple of weeks ago, but it was fascinating and made news. Start with the results you got when you asked about the job that Governor Murphy has been doing.
Sure. So we've seen this all over the country with numerous governors. Governor Murphy is certainly experiencing a rally around the flag effect. He now joins the ranks of Governor Christie, Governor Whitman, and Governor Koning in terms of being one of the most liked governors. Almost now at the 60% mark. He's at 59% favorability. He's also now at 77% approval for his job overall as governor, which surpasses Governor Christie during the Hurricane Sandy aftermath, after we saw his numbers skyrocket from 2012 to 2013. On top of that, about 2/3 give Murphy either an A or a B when it comes to his handling of the pandemic specifically. Some of the highest ratings when we asked about a whole host of political figures, certainly higher than President Trump. Not as high, though, as across the Hudson, Governor Andrew Cuomo, but he is scoring so high with New Jerseyans. We're certainly seeing a rally around the flag effect for the governor.
When you say he was at 77% approval rating, and that's higher than Governor Christie, so is that the highest that a governor has hit in your poll ever?
That's the highest in terms of what we've been measuring. And we see bipartisan support for him as well. While it may be to different degrees, with Democrats and independents more in support of the governor, we also see ample support from Republicans for Governor Murphy as well, at least as of a few weeks ago.
Now, it's important to keep pointing that out, that it's a couple of weeks ago, because
Right.
things change quickly in this pandemic. So this is a snapshot of what it was like a couple of weeks ago. How did people feel then about reopening?
So 2/3, 66% said that New Jersey was moving at just the right pace. Another 1 in 5 said New Jersey was moving too slowly. Another 1 in 5 said New Jersey was moving too quickly. Of course, these numbers are going to change in the past couple of weeks, but so have restrictions and business reopenings. And we've seen more and more, including today, get added on from the governor of what we can do and what we're able to do, and limitations getting lifted. So we see that most New Jerseyans are, of course, feeling that the state is moving in the right direction. Of course, we do see, once again, there is some partisan division. We see Republicans more hopeful to get back to normal and thinking that things should be moving more quickly, or that they're moving too slowly. But we see some solid support for how New Jersey has been reacting to this pandemic.
And what do they expect once we reopen completely? Do they expect life to go back to normal?
We actually asked the question in two different ways a few weeks ago. We asked about how when people feel that businesses would reopen and restrictions would get lifted. We asked the other half of the sample when they feel life would be completely back to normal. Of course, the former has a little more optimistic. People feel that around this time, or around by the beginning of June, we'll see more restrictions lifted and more businesses open. For those residents who got the version of the question talking about when will life be completely back to normal, more pessimistic views, more looking like towards the after summer or even next year.
Did you ask them how they are personally affected by the pandemic?
We see large numbers of New Jerseyans who have been affected, whether it's jobs, finances, working from home, caring for somebody at home, somebody being impacted in the household by the virus itself, the actual individual being impacted by the virus, medical appointments being canceled, not being able to get a hold of household essentials. Large numbers across the board for all of these different items, and especially those who are hardest hit and those who are the most disenfranchised or those who are struggling the most are the subpopulations that are affected the most. We really see big impacts among the non-white community, low-income residents, low-educated residents, in some regions more than others.
And in all of these questions, there wasn't a partisan divide. You said that a lot of Republicans, or even Republicans, are supporting the governor. In these questions, are you seeing the same trend?
We see the same trend. The demographics are more towards individual level demographics, not so much partisanship when we're seeing who's being affected.
So let me get to a question that I think there will be a partisan divide, and that is voting by mail in both the primary and the general election.
Yes, very much so. We see 54% say that they would be willing to vote by mail when it comes to the primaries, and having an election only by mail. We have, the rest saying that they would prefer there to still be in-person voting. This is a huge, stark partisan split. It is one of the most politicized issues we see regarding the virus across the country right now, not only thinking about primaries, but also November 2020. Republicans are very much against voting by mail. Democrats, of course, are just the opposite and right in that corner, independents to somewhat of a lesser extent, but it is definitely a hot button partisan issue.
What is it like to poll during a pandemic? I would think it's easier.
In a weird silver lining to all of this, across the survey research industry nationally and by states, we've seen higher response rates because people simply want to talk to other people, and they want to stay on the phone and have a conversation in their home. So in a weird way, it's a good time to be polling, but you know what? This data is invaluable for us to know what's going on in our states and our country.
It's nice not to be a nuisance. It's nice to be able to call and people want to talk to you.
Exactly, for once.
Well, look, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you have other matters to attend to. You're expecting your first child.
We are. My husband and I are expecting a little boy in a few weeks, so we'll have a new baby pollster here soon.
That's great. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, and to you and your family. I hope everybody is well, and I hope your new addition brings great joy.
Thank you so much, Larry. I hope everybody stays safe and well. My best to everyone.
That was Ashley Koning, director of the Eagleton Public Interest Polling Center at Rutgers University. Still to come, police officers are on the front lines during this pandemic, and that can take a toll on their mental health. We'll tell you how one New Jersey police department is handling that when Jersey Matters continues.